Alabama, Michigan. I love to see the elite brands in college football compete on the field, regardless of their current standing or the 2019 or whatever year version we get. Are you juiced for this game? You psyched? You shaking your head? No.
No, I'm not into S&M fetish, so no. I think it's a terrible matchup. They are constructed exactly like the two teams that ran us off the field, with a big physical offensive line. That we have a very athletic defensive front, but we don't really have a true gap plugger this year. We had two big-time recruits, Chris Hinton and Mozzie Smith, but they just physically weren't ready yet to play that role in major college football. And so we've played largely 4 defensive ends most of the year. And against 10 teams on our schedule that we could out-athlete, that defense played very well. But against the 2 teams on our schedule that could line up with their offensive fronts and come downhill, Wisconsin and Ohio State, they absolutely battered us, and we're going to face an offensive line very much like that at Alabama. And then I look at those wide receivers and the you got them coverage Don Brown runs in these kinds of games. No, it's a terrible matchup. And whenever your analysis begins with, well, so-and-so may not have these guys play and sit out the game, that's your top line talking point. As Dana Carvey once said, quoting a former president, it's bad. It's bad. That's bad. It's a terrible matchup for Michigan. I'd have been fine. Michigan right now needs a Rutgers kind of a game. I think it needs a Wayne State. I would have been fine with the Gator Bowl. I think Michigan needs a Mark Grace slum buster right now. If you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. If you know what I'm saying. All right. I think that's what Michigan football needs. And I think this is one of those things. Yeah, the buzz, it'll be great. Everybody get their clickbaity jollies. Paul Feinbaum will grow a hair follicle or 3, losing his damn mind over Jim Harbaugh and Nick Saban together. And then when it's 21-7 in the first quarter, everybody's going to realize what a dumbass decision this was. And that's what I think is going to happen, unfortunately. I hate thinking that, but I'm going to tell you what I really think, and that's what I really think. I think Michigan will score its points, and Alabama's defense is not as good as it's been in years past. They've given up 28 points or more in 4 games this year. And Michigan's offense is really coming on. They had averaged 9 yards a play against Ohio State in that first half. So I can see Michigan scoring 28, 31 points. I think it's going to be like 45, 31, though, something like that. So I'd play the over in this game, weather permitting, on that fast track. I don't see a lot of punting in this game, particularly for the team in red and white. And we saw with Mac Jones against Auburn, he's throwing a touchdown every possession. Just might throw one to you, throw plenty to his guys. And so when you see the wide receivers they have, I don't think any of our DBs can play any of those guys man to man. I think it's the best collection of wide receivers on any one college team I have ever seen. You're talking about 4 guys that have averaged that combined for 3,500 yards and 35 freaking touchdowns. That's insanity, absolute insanity. And I don't see how Michigan can cover any of those guys. So no, I think it's a terrible matchup. I think Alabama's got to have to come here with a Utah, Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl kind of a mindset. But because I don't see Michigan has much of a chance to win. And if they do win, you know what everybody's just going to say? Well, Alabama doesn't care. So people are out there writing about how this changes the narrative. It doesn't change any narrative. Nothing will change Michigan's narrative other than beating Ohio State. Michigan can do absolutely nothing. If Michigan is 11-0 next year and putting up double-digit wins from the Washington game to the week before the Buckeyes, and then goes down to Columbus and loses by 1 freaking point, that's all that matters. Nothing Michigan can do to change any narratives or anything except the 4th Saturday in November every year. So I don't think it changes anything. You saw how the media, SEC press, the minute Texas beat Georgia, Georgia didn't care. They're cover for their guys. That's their league. That's ESPN's league. They're going to cover for them, and that's what Barrett Sallee and at CBS Sports does. That's their shtick. That's their thing. They're the Tariq Azizes of the Southeastern Conference, and the SEC's probably earned that to some degree. So if Michigan were to pull off the win, it'll just be explained away. So I don't think it changes any narratives whatsoever. I think, though, it's going to reinforce a few, unfortunately.
My take on that has always been that there's different levels of incentive for any game. So if we just have the separation of the bowl season so that we can mark that as the final game of the season, and there are different levels of motivation based on that program and that team's expectations versus what we thought that they were and how close they came to getting to a better bowl game or a playoff spot, and then trying to conjecture on what the incentive of that particular team or that collection of players versus you could take the Michigan State Indiana game in week 7 and say, well, there's a different incentive for each team. And actually that's true, but we just don't know what it is. And each individual on the field has a different level of incentive and motivation.
Mark, I think Michigan's football has proven over the years, especially under Jim Harbaugh, that postseason motivation is their specialty. I think they've proven that, if you note the sarcasm.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Michigan is 6-15 all time in bowl games in years that it lost to Ohio State. It is very rare for Michigan to, and I don't know what Ohio State's record is in reverse. I'd have to look that up, but it's very rare for Michigan to pick itself back up and get motivated for a bowl game after it loses that one to the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I just don't like the excuse factor, as you have noted that it's very apparent that you don't as well, because.
No, I liked excuses for a while, and then I finally realized this past November that the rock's not going to move. So as far as I'm concerned, Michigan has an 11-game regular season. I'm not watching the game next year. I already know Kong versus Godzilla comes out Thanksgiving weekend. We'll be there Saturday in the matinee, Thanksgiving weekend next year. I'm not involved. I'm not watching. I don't care. The Michigan-Ohio State game doesn't occur in my mind anymore until I actually see Michigan win it. Okay, so I have no analysis, no predictions. Michigan plays an 11-game schedule as far as I'm concerned.
I am actually not alluding to that motivation. Or that excuse. I'm alluding to the one that you had referred to earlier.
Oh, the bowl motivation one?
Yeah, the big favorites that the Georgia-Texas situation at the Sugar Bowl last year. Mm-hmm. That's the easiest excuse to make. You've got a football program. There's a game scheduled. You're supposed to be competitors. This is what you do. There's a game scheduled. Are you truly competitors? Then you'll go out there and you'll
no, we had team captains sit out last year, so that was swell.
Yeah, it was not a pretty sight against Florida, knowing that that you didn't bring your best. No question about it. Steve Deace, Michigan Podcast. Please join him right there on YouTube or also on your favorite audio platform. And you also have this project that I see, the Bigger 10. Tell us about that.
So we're going to launch, thanks for asking me about that. We're going to launch on our Michigan Podcast channel. When we come back, we're taping our final episode for 2019 today. And then we're going to take a break for the holidays. And when we come back the week of January 6th, we'll get back to Weekly on Michigan Podcast. And we're going to debut a weekly program called Bigger 10. And so we're going to do, if you watch the SEC network and the Big Ten network, the level of analysis that goes on and critical analysis, it's not even close. Like the SEC lets people have opinions. They like to keep it milquetoast over there on the north side of Chicago. All right. And so we kind of feel like there's got to be somebody an entity that actually gives Big Ten fans a vehicle for some real analysis of our league. And so we're going to launch that the week of January 6th with Bigger 10. And it's going to be a weekly 30-minute or so television show. And then we'll put the audio version on the various podcast platforms as well. That's just focused on everything Big Ten from a Big Ten perspective. So we're really excited about that. And if you go to our Michigan Podcast channel here on YouTube, you can see just a little teaser trailer of what is to come. So if you like the production values and the sort of stuff that we do with Michigan Podcast, we're going to do all of that with Bigger 10 as well.
Sounds like something that I would certainly want to partake in and listen to myself. So
sure.
Sounds like good stuff. Steve, we appreciate you stopping by as always. Hope to have you back soon.
You bet, brother. Take care.